Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Underhood Show, presented by Mel Hamilton Ford. Josh, it's another beautiful Saturday.
Just like that.
Here we go. Hey, it's a call-in show. Love to hear from you. Love to figure what's ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, anything in the automobile world, anything in the new racing world. You see all the new stuff Ford's announced yesterday or Thursday?
What? So I guess I was not a part of that.
I guess we're just going to get you up to speed here.
We are going to have to be.
So anyway, we'll get to that here in just a second. But anyway, call in show 316-462-3673. And that comes right to the front desk. Tell the girls you want to get passionate in the call. And for each and every caller, the $205 package, Josh. What's in it?
So we're going to mail it out to you, but it's going to consist of the works, which is an oil change and tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at the dealership. You'll also receive yourself $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the Big Corner. Complete nitrogen for your tires, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer for that set of tires. Then you'll get a BG Products package, which consists of a can of MOA or motor oil additive for your engine oil, and then 44K for your fuel system. And then we're also going to complete a multi-point inspection on that vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components, just making sure that it's geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. And again, that goes out to each and every caller that calls in with us to the show here. So,
all right, let's get the phones ringing. Love to hear from you. Anything in the automobile world. So, yeah, Josh, you didn't see the big announcement.
I guess I missed it.
They are taking and going back to Le Mans, but basically making a 24-hour car.
Okay.
And it's a supercar, so it's the top deal. In the big hubbub, guess what motor it is? It's not a diesel.
I was going to guess EcoBoost.
They've been running that EcoBoost, in the GT and all that stuff, and they have been running the EcoBoost at the 24 Hours of Daytona and that sort of thing. But now that they're going to Le Mans, they're going to a supercar. 5.0 Coyote.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think it's a 5.2 just go show.
Yeah.
But from that part. But yeah, they went.
But it's a V8.
Going back to the V8. So what's that tell you about what's headed down the line for other stuff that's coming? So then they announced the Dark Horse, which has replaced basically the Mach 1 or replaced the GT350. And so now Ford has had a falling out with Shelby, so they can't use the Shelby name anymore. So now they're having a Dark Horse SC, which stands for supercharged. And it looks like a replica of the GT500.
Really?
Yeah, it sure does. I don't know. I just have a hard time with this Dark Horse name.
Yeah.
Where's the Mach 1? Where's the Cobra? Where's the Boss name? Where's what's this Dark Horse stuff? I don't get it.
No nostalgia behind it.
No, I guess it's kind of, we can argue about all kinds of stuff too. It's kind of like the Maverick. That should have been called a Ranchero.
Well, yeah.
Okay. And, where these names, again, I guess I don't get paid to pick their names for them, right?
Who names what and why. And then, I mean, the other side of that is being privy to like futuristic projects and what's coming down the line. Like there may be something as consumers we just don't know either, as to the reason with it they would name something one way or the other. And, when they, years ago, Taurus was a huge thing, and then they kind of came out with it, but at the time it wasn't a Taurus, it was a 500. Well, then the 500 went away, and they redid the Taurus nameplate, and I think what was it last Saturday? I don't know, maybe last Saturday or Saturday before, but somebody was called in and was asking about them bringing back the Crown Vic nameplate or something, and I don't know. I bet that's something somewhere down the road it will come back as popular as that car was. I would assume,
I don't know. I guess we're about to find out. They talk about we're switching gears all over. Still racing, but now they're coming up with a new class, the Crown Vic class, and now these Crown Vics that were worth $400 and $500 out there are now bringing $3,000 and $4,000 because these guys are wrapping them up to go race these things. And it's an inexpensive way. You basically just take a Crown Vic and strip the glass out of it and put a roll bar in it and go race it. You can't change. You got to run a factory tire, stock tire, stock spring, stock motor. You can't really do much to it, and going to go race these Crown Vics. Now, I know there's going to be some cheating going on there. I can tell you that already.
You say it ain't so.
Yes, it is.
And I don't think they were really racing racing wasn't a thing until the second thing of whatever it was made. And then that's when racing started.
Yeah. And I didn't know. I kind of thought I knew, but I really didn't know. But that's how Henry Ford really got started in car. He was racing before he built cars.
Really?
That's what the demo said and they had on their Thursday night. So, and then the other thing is the Bob Tasca driving the funny car is retiring and bringing in the Proc family to drive his cars and take care of his cars. So he's switching to a car owner. So that's another big announcement. I'm surprised that as good as he is in that car and everything else like that, I'm surprised that
for him to do that.
But that is a lot of that funny car and the G-force and all that kind of stuff. That's a lot of abuse on yourself.
Yeah, you would think. I don't know. I can't say. Never been in that particular situation, but to say that would get old, I don't know.
I don't think it'd get old either. I mean, look at John Force.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we got a comment here on the chat line. So Jason says, "Good morning, guys. What's the better engine in the F-150? A 2.7, a 3.5, or a 5-liter?" And what I guess I can kind of give my version of that answer, and then you can take over from there. But I think that every one of those engines is a very good engine and durable and design one. I can't say that I would pick one over the other, with the exception of application, right? So if there was an application that you were using or needed the truck for, I think every one of them has their shining moment. Overall, for me personally, if I was getting an F-150, it would have the 3.5 in it. I think it's meets the best of a lot of worlds, for sure. But again, depending upon application and what you're doing with the vehicle, I think every one of those engines is got its purpose, right?
Well, that's why they're there. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's my opinion on all those motors. You're right; they're all good. They're all dependable. They'll all run 200,000 miles minimum if you maintain them.
Mm-hmm.
You got to maintain them from that part. And I don't think one motor takes more maintenance than the other if you maintain them the same. I really don't. 2.7. They came out with a 2.7. Basically, that's for the guy that wants an XLT or an XL truck that's never going to pull anything or anything like that. Plenty of power, plenty of torque and everything for that application. But when you go down to that 2.7 to 3.5, the fuel mileage increases. Mm-hmm. So that's why they built that truck, for the guy that needs the fuel economy. He's not worried about it. Never's going to hook a trailer on it, but just wants to drive a truck. And his budget's putting him in an XL or an XLT package. Perfect example of that is just somebody that's, maybe it's his second vehicle or doesn't drive a lot or whatever. It just wants to have a truck. That's where that 2.7 shines, and that's where the 2.7 can be there. If you do need to tow a little bit with it, it's still got a good towing rating.
Or move something, the payload, in the back of it. Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so now then let's go to the 3.5. The 3.5 has the most torque, the most horsepower of any of the applications. Everybody wants to say, oh, well, if V6 isn't going to last as long as a V8. No, it's again, if you maintain that motor and take care of it like you would have the 5.0, it's going to run just as many miles. Now, the one you left out there, Jason, is the 3.5 hybrid. That's what I would buy today, is the hybrid. Just because of the technology, the shutting off, the fuel economy. And again, that's got more power and more torque than the regular 3.5 because of the electric motor that's behind it. That's why I need the power, Josh. I got to go.
And then it almost kind of fills in a gap too from the initial takeoff when you get the instantaneous torque of the electric side of it, but then waiting on turbos and things like that to kick in and get going. And so performance wise, it's a little bit better, right?
Yeah. Now 5.0, great motor, been around forever. And the 5.0, if you're going to put a supercharger on your truck or a pro charger on your truck, there's nothing better than a 5.0 to get you the horsepower that you need to have. And again, we're building all these supercharged trucks out here. Josh, I was surprised. I can't keep track of it all the way. I came back the other day and asked you, hey, how many 5.0s we got in production with the supercharger? You said none, because I went to the lot and we only have 2 left.
Yeah.
From that part too. So that 5.0 is still a good motor. And there's guys out there who are just staunch that's all they want. They want to be 8. And I get it.
Well, the one thing from my perspective, and one of the reasons that I would venture into a V8 is the sound. Like you just I don't know.
get it. Yeah.
You cannot make one of these.
They try to make the V6 sound different and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, but it still sounds like a V6. I get it.
For sure. Now, what you gain in driving these trucks and everything like that. I mean, I don't, the volume speaks numbers, right? So on your inventory, on the number of trucks, F-150s out there, what percentage wise, the 3.5 hands down is the largest.
by far.
Yeah,
By far.
is the largest thing that's sold and the largest thing that we have.
And it's like the other day, a guy called and said, I got to have a V8. I got to have a V8. I had one Lariat 5.0 on the ground. The rest of the 5.0s were blower trucks from that part too. So, okay, a few comments back there. Morning, Delbert. And, Josh, I think would be year number 7 that we should be setting out the Chili Bowl, but we're not there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought about that earlier this week.
Anyway, James Valentine, good morning. James got a few more comments we'll get to here in just a second. But yeah, we should be setting at the Chili Bowl right now, but we're not. Just too many irons in the fire, too many things going on with racing and that stuff. We'll talk about that here in a minute too. We've got a tech bank coming up I want to talk about too. James Valentine says, I think the 3.0 EcoBoost trumps them all those engines. Well, that's another good application. It's in the Explorer. It's in the Bronco Raptor. It's in the Ranger Raptor. And a few other applications. I agree. It's a 3.0 is basically the same kind of design and everything as a 3.5 or 2.7. So,
so talking specifically just power plants in general, I'm curious to know what the next big thing is or the next big change is. This EcoBoost platform has, in my mind, just extremely changed the power plant portion of these vehicles.
In 11, everybody was freaking out about it.
Well, I want to say, so first it was the Taurus, was a Taurus show, was it at the first thing, or was a Flex? And I want to say it was like 10 or 11 was the very first thing. But the dependability and reliability on these things, I don't know. Just the whole EcoBoost platform in any all the way down from an Escape to up to the F-150s. Just the reliability and what it's gained in fuel economy and performance and stuff, I think has been huge. And it's just like, okay, well, what's the next thing to come? Now they've added.
I got an idea.
Okay, do you?
Yeah, I do. But anyway, let's back up still before we get to that. When the Sturks come out in the Flex, and then it moved into the trucks and the show and all that kind of thing and stuff. Everybody was so worried about it because back in the 80s, a lot of the manufacturers put turbos on cars. But what they did, they just took an existing engine and threw a turbo on it.
Mm-hmm.
And those turbos back then were just oil cooled, and they didn't have enough oil supply to them, and they weren't designed to run with that motor. So there was a lot of failures. So that's why people, when Ford brought this back out, it was a big, this is pretty scary. But Ford went in and designed an engine to run with that EcoBoost, and each one of those has been designed with that turbo to run that way. But they've not only just oil cooled them, they're water cooling them too. So they got them both ways to protect them. But again, if we don't maintain these things, sludge will build up, carbon will build up, and that sludge starts slowing down the oil line to that turbo, and you're going to eat a turbo up because if you don't keep the oil changed like you need to.
Don't keep it lubricated
from that part. So I think there's enough proven history right now with Finsol. Basically, I think it's 09, maybe it's 10. I can't remember exactly when that was in the Flex. Till now, to 26, that we're where the turbos are at and that stuff too. So anyway, Greg, I agree with you. We need to see the 3.0 and a few more things. I get it. Yeah, SVO Mustang. Yeah, okay. Yeah, where's that name instead of a Dark Horse?
Well, yeah.
Where did that Dark Horse name come from? You got an idea?
I do not know that.
Come on, you're supposed to know that stuff.
Yeah, your son might. I don't know.
I bet he does too. I bet he does too. So anyway, what's coming next is, I'm going to tell you, is going to be a hybrid Super Duty.
Yeah. Well, or even so like the Lightning.
Okay, well, basically the Lightning is going to be, they're just going to put a motor inside the frunk of it, put a motor there to actually keep the power up and keep the battery. And I think if they keep the price right on that and don't blow it out of proportion like they did, in my opinion, with the Lightning, and keep that in there, the torque, the instant power, all that kind of stuff you have with the electric motors on the wheels, and just have that, I don't know what size motor they're going to put in there with, maybe it's a Maybe it's a 2.7. I don't know. Maybe it's the 4-cylinder EcoBoost out of the Mustang that they put in there, just enough to run and charge that battery. I think it'd be crazy good.
Keep it going. But you think the Super Duties, you think you're going to see some sort of hybrid in that?
Yeah, and then I'll tell you the next one I think is going to be a hybrid Raptor.
Really?
I do. I think we're going to see a Raptor. Now I don't know which one. I think the Super Duty is going to be first.
Okay.
Then I think the Raptor will be right behind it. But yeah, I think we're going to see Now think about a Raptor with a hybrid and what they probably got really coming there. I think it's going to be a big gap. You got the R sitting there at 720 horse or 710 horse, and you got the other one sitting there at 500. So I think you're going to have about a 600 horse hybrid sitting in there is what I think.
Version of it, yeah. I will say that all the different vehicles and makes and models and stuff that we've seen and worked on, and there is no like the feeling of driving a fully EV vehicle. You can't experience that in any other way, in the sense of the instantaneous torque and horsepower at any really acceleration position, right? Like anything that has a naturally aspirated or turbos or superchargers, like there's a power curve to it. But when you get into something that's EV, like it's on all the time in any position, or any speed, so to speak. And that feeling is just, you go get in one of these GT Mustang or GT Lightning, GT, the EV GT, and it's crazy, the Mach-E, of the feeling of that instantaneous torque and horsepower.
Yeah.
And so,
yep.
Anytime I think you can complement, a good powertrain or a gas engine with something like that, and get the best of both worlds, like I don't know how it couldn't be better.
Yep. Okay, James says, I'm worried for a hybrid Super Duty. I'm worried it will hurt its market base. I will tell you that I promise you that Ford's already got that hybrid out there, and they put it out to construction companies and stuff. It's kind of like they did when they went with the aluminum truck. Before they put that truck in production, they gave a bunch of trucks to some big level construction companies out there and had them abuse that truck a lot before they even started putting that thing in production. Like 3 years they had those trucks in aluminum before they actually pulled the plug and got rid of the metal trucks and went to the aluminum trucks. So, James, I will bet you they've already had that truck in production, and construction companies or, whatever, people that have done a lot of work with those that have got those trucks already, trying them out, seeing what they got to do, and reporting back to Ford and giving them an example of what will happen and how that truck performs and stuff too. And why I say the hybrid is there is just these trucks fire up and run 24 hours a day, sometimes 10 hours a day, and never shut off. I think that's where that hybrid's coming in, because then that'll let that truck shut off, run on the battery for a while, and then it'll kick back in and go again from that part. Again, who knows how big the battery is, how big that stuff is too. We'll see. But I still say that's the first thing that's coming. And the reason I know that, I was told 2 years ago that they were working on this program. So I knew that that's why I'm saying why it's taking that long, is they've given that truck to their fleet customers or construction, whatever, and they're using that truck to say, hey, is this viable? Does this work, or is it not too, from that part? But I do think there's some other exciting stuff coming. I mean, just the way this technology is today, and the way the consumer's asking for things, and the competition out there now, and now some of these laws that we're getting rid of that we didn't need to have, to let these manufacturers build some more vehicles and stuff. I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I would, from a standpoint of change, I mean, I truly believe things are changing faster now than, what they ever have in this industry. And true to be said, historically, as we're moving way faster now than what we ever were before. And I couldn't imagine having to be a manufacturer, whether it's Ford or any other manufacturer, from that standpoint of how far ahead in advance that you've got to think and plan and, think
of all the time to turn that big old wheel.
Yeah. Think of all the different outcomes or potentials. And then you add, not only, I mean, you're trying to gauge market, you're trying to gauge demand, you're trying to gauge, politics go into the thing too, just like with what we're seeing now and the, easing up on some of these emissions related, demands, how to gauge all that and still be successful at the end of that. You'd have to have 100 different go-to-market strategies, and then during that process, that you're always evolving them, changing them, and moving them around to try and make them successful along the way, for sure. So,
yep,
it would definitely be a huge challenge.
All right, hey, 316-462-3673. Chime in here. Let's see what happens. So we'll see what goes on. Do I see the 7.3 being sunsetted? Absolutely not.
Man, it's been
a great motor. And here's the thing about that. I never did understand why we had a 6.8 power gas motor and a 7.3 power push rod motor. They're both basically the same exact design.
Mm-hmm.
The 6.8 is just 30 horsepower and 30 torque less than the 7.3. I never did understand that. And James, the reason we have both those motors is the company that helps produce the 7.3 could not produce enough of those for the demand. So that's why we had to go to the 6.8. Now, I don't know if the company's making the 6.8. Why couldn't they make the 7.3 too or whatever? I don't know.
Well, and I don't know. So like sticker to sticker wise, I don't think there's a huge difference in them.
Depends on the application, depends on which trim level you're at and stuff like that. It's anywhere from $700 to $1,500.
Yeah, that's what I was going to guess. Between the two different applications for sure. Yeah. And then, when he's talking about that, like the other thing that I think has been a huge success is the 6.7, that diesel engine. It came out and was it 11? No, it was sooner than that.
6.7?
Yeah, the 6.7.
2011.
But that's one thing that, I mean, you get in these diesel trucks or these Super Duties and like the amount of torque and horsepower that they have. And then I can't imagine needing to do anything to those vehicles to add more torque or horsepower or, it's crazy what those things are able to produce from the factory. And then it doesn't matter the way those trucks are set up, whether you're pulling 10,000 pounds or you got nothing on behind you. I mean, it responds the exact same way.
I would say that my biggest thing with that 6.7 is when I was pulling a race trailer and I had that 36-foot trailer and then the high output come out, and that's about the same time I switched to the 44-foot trailer. And I hooked onto that 44-foot trailer, and I thought, well, this ain't no big deal. It's not that much more power. But again, it wasn't a fair comparison until we had to sell that high output, and I had to hook up to a regular 6.7 to go pull. And I went, oh my God, now I see the difference. There's a huge difference in that high output. And of course, that's becoming the most predominant 6.7 now too. And
out of trucks or out of diesels, how you'd say a large majority of them are the high output?
Oh, it's already probably 70% sitting on a lot of high output versus this regular 6.7. And it's another $2,500 for that extra 100 horsepower, and I don't know, it's 150 pounds of torque or whatever it might be. So that's a lot of money to spend. But again, everybody's got a flex. I got the high output. What do you got? And they're looking for that little red logo on the door. Oh, you got that little motor, don't you? I can see. You know how that goes.
So do you see that sunsetting? I guess then no.
Well, I don't know. Oh, I think one of the 6.7s will go away. Yeah, once that hybrid comes. Yeah. And what it does and how it performs, where the torque and all the measures of that thing's at. Yeah, I think you'll see one of those 6.7s go away. Well, now the emissions going away too. That's why I was worried about the emissions getting tighter and tighter. That the 6.7 wasn't going to be able to stay around. To be honest with you. But now they've relaxed that. I think it's going to be one of the 6.7s. I do definitely. I think the smaller 6.7 will go away. I really do. Okay, James, a lot of my fleet customers in some of that 450s have asked that why is the 6.8 is around during the same time frame overlap with the 7.3. Okay, yeah, I did clarify that for you. So anyway, we beat that dead horse today.
So I was looking at the calendar the other day. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but the race open house, that's right around the corner for sure.
Well, let's talk about that because February 7th.
Oh, yeah. You got that
is our
ahead of
tech
time.
class. We're going to have it down in the warehouse like we did last year. That's the IMCA Tech Inspector Dave Brin is going to be here. We're going to open up the meeting at Saturday morning at 8:00. So Josh, you'll have to have somebody do the show with you. And it's going to be for track owners, track promoters, and tech inspectors to come in and meet with Dave. This is the most I've seen IMCA change rules in all the years I've raced with IMCA. And to go over the changes, and then how to tech the changes. And probably the most biggest one out there is this new droop rule and minimum deck height they've got on the modifieds. And I tell you what, Josh, I am going to be missing racing the modified now because of that rule. Because I'm telling you, that's why they brought it out, because there were so many guys that had done that cheated on their cars and had those deck heights way too high in the air. When you get them that high in the air, it's just a big old spoiler, gives that much more downforce and everything else too. So it's going to level the playing field. And they took away what we call a brake floater. And that brake floater, what that does is when you go in the corner, you jab your brake, and a brake on the left rear would jack into and basically help plant that left rear. Well, guess what? You ain't gonna be able to plant that left rear no more. So it's going to change the way some guys have to drive and what it does. And again, going to level the playing field with these drivers. So I think it's really cool what IMCA did. So the morning will be for the track promoters, track owners, and tech inspectors, and then we'll have some lunch, and then any driver that wants to come in, we'll have him there, so you can bring your cars. If you want to bring your car for Dave to tech them or whatever you want to do there too, and we can go through your cars, go through questions. You can go see how you need to set your car up for that droop rule, the brake floater, and any other the rule changes they had for 2026 to make your car legal and not have any issues from that part too. So that's February 7th. Come down for that. And then again, we got a race open house February 21st. And that should be another big deal. We pushed it back a week to get rid of the Florida rules. I mean, the Florida races down there that a lot of our vendors were wanting to be at. And I get why they need to be there from that part. So we'll a couple of big dates coming up February 7th and February 21st for race open house. You don't want to miss race open house. It's going to be fun. Jordan Whitehead's going to be here cooking. We are going to do Mexican food again, Mexican taco bar again. So that's going to be cool. So don't miss those 2 dates for sure.
Very good.
Okay, James Valentine, shout out to Chad in service, by the way, takes good care of people. Thank you for that. 3.5 has a particulate filter now. Thoughts? What does it matter for a customer? Particulate filter.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're referring to on that.
Not sure either, Greg. If you can get some more explicit, we can find that particulate filter now.
Unless he's talking about an exhaust particulate filter, but
didn't know they had that either.
Yeah, no,
Don't know. I know, Greg, if you can get more explicit on that, or we'll figure out what you're talking about exactly 100% on that part too. So anyway, a couple of big dates there we were going through. So yes, he says. Call us, Greg. We'll go through it. 316-462-3673. We'll figure out get more details about what he's talking about there on that part too. My 6.7, after driving it a while, I shut it off and it will start making a slow humming sound for a while and then it quits. Why does it do this? So it means after he shuts it off.
Well, so I know there's a couple of different things in there. One, there's essentially like a throttle blade in there that kind of hum a little bit, and then they'll make like a retraction noise
on a throttle body.
Yeah, and typically that's probably what you're hearing. The other thing, they're known to make noise too because of now everybody has the intelligent access key. So as you approach the vehicle,
there's firing things up.
Yeah, there's things happening out under the hood. You know, it's pressurizing the fuel. It's getting that engine ready for startup, and that's essentially what the noises are that you hear there. The other thing that I've seen happen, you know, there's interactive grille shutters now on a lot of these vehicles that
get
have
repositioned,
get repositioned, and then when you shut the vehicle off, they do different things. You know, it may be closed and then they open back up to let that thing breathe while it's sitting there, and it's just amazing how much stuff goes on these things that we don't even know that is happening, right?
Oh yeah.
And you know, we had talked about that before that I think if you had a computer that could monitor and see everything that it's
you have to have
looking
a screen
at,
10 feet big to see everything,
talking at, and everything that's going on, to just have the vehicle sit there and idle, like it's would be astronomical, the amount of data that's getting transferred back and forth and viewed and looked at, and in a millisecond or a split second on a vehicle is crazy.
So anyway, Michael, I hope we answered you there. So good morning. And then also Joe Petty, good morning. Glad you're tuning in, everybody. So maybe Greg will call us here and we'll talk more about this particulate filter.
Yeah, and I'm not sure
about the filter in the dash for the HVAC.
Well, that's what I was wondering about. Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. But then I didn't know if they were looking at putting a particulate filter actually in the exhaust. I mean, I know they have like a resignator on them, and if maybe we're looking at that as well. So, but there's the other day, I forget what it was. Oh, it was an Escape is what it was, and there's essentially like a thermal valve inside of the exhaust. So it's an exhaust thermostat is what it was, but it would restrict the flow of exhaust until to get that engine up to operating temperature quicker, and it happened to be making a rattling noise inside of this exhaust. And I'm thinking, man, but just the amount of things that they're looking at from all the different angles to get that vehicle in closed loop faster and get it up to operating temperature faster. And I think temperature control is huge. And you think of a vehicle now, when you start up a new modern day vehicle and how fast it gets to operating temperature versus back in 1980 or 90 in something that how long it took to get that thing up to operating temperature. But then also just the operating temperature in general. I mean, years ago you were looking at thermostats 180, 180, 190.
Back in my day, we're trying to figure out how to get them cooler.
Yeah.
Cooler down as much as we could.
I can think of ripping thermostats out of stuff.
Take
just
the guts out of the center of them.
Yeah.
Put solid fans on them.
Yep. Just to keep them from overheating from that side of things. And now we want them to run just almost. Yeah. It's absolutely insane. Where you're at or what the differences are in that aspect. And then the other thing, okay, back in 70 or 80 or whatever, if you had a vehicle and you overheated it a couple of different times, it probably wasn't the end of the world. Today, with the way everything's aluminum and the tight tolerances and stuff like that, like you get that thing boiling hot one time and it may not come back from that. And so it's just amazing in the differences in technology and advancements. And then the other side of it is kind of how we thought things should operate versus now, the theory behind how it should operate and stuff like that, for sure. So
exactly. Okay, Greg Murray's got a link there, but I don't know, can we click on that link and bring it up, Josh?
Let's see. Well, we'll give her a go. It's just going to show it up here. So let's see. Yeah, I'll have to copy it and we'll put it on something on the other side of this deal. Let's see. But he's got a link on it. We'll have to look into that and read up about it.
We'll have to get Gus working on a little technical deal where we can pull that up from now on going forward. That would be pretty cool to pull that up.
18 horsepower less than before. Yeah.
I know.
Yep.
I have to dig into that a little bit and find out. But I am going to talk to Gus if there's a way we could go pull that up. Shams, you know what I mean?
Very much so. But yeah, the I don't know. I often think back a lot about kind of how things were in this industry versus how it is now, and what the thought process behind making something work versus how we're doing it. And it goes just about every subsystem in the car, like HVAC system, and back then we're using these manual cable sliders, and now we went to kind of these actuators that were electronically controlled with 12 volts. Then we went to 7 volts, then to 5 volts, and now we're doing it through data buses and stuff like that. It's just seeing the advancements in the industry is very cool. let's see, got a caller coming through. We'll get him patched in, and so he can hopefully give us the gist of this article that he just sent us the link to. So
okay.
Get Greg patched through here and see what he's got to say. So let's go to the phones and talk to Greg. Greg, good morning. How are you?
Hi. I saw you guys saw the article that I read, and I was like,
yeah, we're gonna
particular.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to copy the link and then offline and then pull it up. But yeah, so basically the gist of it is that they're putting a particulate filter in there. Is what it looked like.
Yeah, and so it's gonna work like the diesel one, I guess, and occasionally run a little hotter, throw fuel in it, something.
I don't know if I believe. What's the source of that? Because there's no need for that on a 3.5.
I actually read that a couple of different places. The Fast Lane truck was the article that I linked, but I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube about it as well, just the 26 3.5 and the Power Boost.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to dig into it and take a look at it and see validity wise to it. But just the regeneration process in my mind is kind of crazy. From a stance of emissions, like, okay, this particulate filter traps this emissions, but then after it's trapped the emissions, you go through and you dump a bunch of fuel into it and reignite it. And I mean, I get the premise, but also it's like, how is that then energy efficient or emissions efficient at that point too? And so what's the less of the worst evil and stuff like that? And then how the manufacturers design these vehicles around that process in general, and to be able to do it safely. I think of all the engineering and stuff that went into that, and that's crazy as well. So definitely intrigued by the article.
I had another question too about my Power Boost. I read online, I'm a member of a Facebook group of Power Boost people. Anyway, is there a second battery that is like an auxiliary 12 volt that's replaceable
on the Power Boost? On the Power Boost. So there's two batteries in there. One of them is the 12 volt battery, and the other one is the EV or the hybrid battery portion of it. That battery, I mean, it is replaceable, but it's not that's something that, it's like the batteries in the Lightning or the Mach-E. The need to replace that battery is extremely low, and it should be after several thousands or hundreds of thousands of miles before it would warrant or need to be replaced. But there's not like another auxiliary 12 volt battery in there.
Well, it's kind of crazy because there's people on the Facebook group that are all about this. I don't know. It looks like a lawnmower battery size wise. That they're like, oh yeah, you gotta check that too. And I'm like,
that's in the hybrid.
I didn't even know there was. Yeah, in the hybrid.
That's correct. In the hybrid, yes.
So there is, and talking about batteries in general, a lot of these new vehicles now, they have battery monitoring modules to them. And so, you may start getting error messages of low voltage or issues with the battery. But then as that battery degrades in the vehicle and then you replace it, and then the message still continues to happen on the vehicle because, for whatever reason, maybe you put the battery in yourself or went to O'Reilly's or AutoZone and had them throw a battery in it. Well, there's actually a reset procedure that's got to be done through a scan tool in order to do that. And it's just, to me, it's crazy how that is a simple task that, a lot of people will think, well, I'll just put a battery in. It's not that big a deal. It's right here. This is what it looks like. But, and then the flip side of that is just battery options now with all glass matte batteries, and there's so many different variables when it comes to batteries that are available for a customer. I think you could very easily get the wrong battery and inject a whole nother problem into the vehicle. As reliant as these things are on voltage, like the battery is huge for that. The proper one is huge for that as well.
That's fair. If I'm really honest, long ago, I used to work at Walmart in the automotive when I was in college. And I didn't mind working on my car while I had a lift. Now I bring all my stuff to you guys. Toyota, the Corvette, the truck, it's all coming to you.
Yeah. And I can understand that and appreciate that. And again, I mean, I understand from an ownership perspective of thinking, okay, well, I need to get my battery replaced, and it's right there. That ought to be pretty easy to do. And then, you get to do it and realize that it's way more complex than just replacing a battery at that point.
Right. Thank you, guys. I sure appreciate your time. I just read that article about the gas particulate filter. And
well, I want to find out too. Because the first I knew anything about it, but I just still don't know why there's even a reason to have a particulate filter on a 3.5
on the gas side of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll dig into it, and we'll report back to you on the next Saturday. How about that?
Sounds great.
Thanks, Greg. You betcha, buddy. Bye. All kinds of crazy stuff out there. So you got to be careful what you read on the internet. We might find out that's true, Josh. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know what the reasoning behind a Ford putting it on there and then having it just don't make sense.
What you're going to gain by it, and then how about from
especially with the emissions that's being loosened up and everything else from that part.
The other thing that I think when it came into fruition and injected into the automobile industry is DEF fluid. That's something like you want me to do what? You want me to put this fluid in here for what? And you know what I'm saying? Like the understanding of that to a consumer, it was different, right?
Yep, exactly. So anyway, Josh, we're about out of time. Time flies when you're having fun. We could sit here for hours and talk about different things and stuff like that. Get that too, but always fun to take these calls and take the answers and stuff. Anything else happen in the shop? Anything crazy? Anything going on?
Definitely been a busy week for sure. And one of the things that I was had slated to talk about this week or on the show is just this. Especially you get into this time of year, and for whatever reason, this year seems to be a little more prevalent than previous years. But just temperature swings. The other day, I was driving home and there was a cold front coming through. And I mean, just driving down the highway, by the time it was a 30-minute drive, and by the time I got from here to Haven, there was a 19-degree temperature swing, just going down the road. And I think when you get into situations like that, I mean, vehicle maintenance is crucial. I think of like the condensation that happened in those in that sequence of time with the temperature change. The other thing I think of is batteries, how much harder they're having to work when it's extremely cold out and sitting sitting outside like that. And one day it's 60 and the next day it's 20, and just the different aspects of how that relates to automotive that people maybe don't think of. The other side of it is just permeable things, so like your wiper blades and your the tires and the hoses and the belts and stuff on that car. Like anytime there's extreme temperature differences like that on that vehicle, something's going to wear different here in this environment versus how it's going to wear in Texas or Florida or California versus how it's going to wear in Canada and in the colder environments versus something in Phoenix that's 100 plus all the time. Like all those components are going to wear differently in those environments, and how important that is. Again, going back to that multi-point inspection and just having the thing looked over and checked. And
hey, you ready for that support? Okay, I got the toter to help us go racing a lot easier and stuff. And I got my buddy Gary up in Salina that's a service manager up there at a truck center now. Him and I wrenched together in the 80s, if you imagine that, side by side. We had a lot of fun together, wrenching together, I'll tell you that. Still have a lot of fun together.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he saw that I'd got that toter. He said, bring that thing up here. I want to go through it. And I said, what are you going to do? You're going to do a multi-point inspection? He laughed. And guess what?
That's
right
what
on
he
the
did.
repair order,
Yeah.
I got a multi-point inspection. And guess what? He found about 4 things that I didn't see on that toter that they found, because he's used to just looking at those things. They know what to look for. It's the same difference as us looking at your car.
Yeah.
But he found 4 things. Guess what? He found a coolant leak and a power steering leak that we didn't see, because he knows where to look. He knows where to go and find that stuff. The same thing we're going to do to your car. Now, let me tell you how pissed off I'd have been if I didn't run that thing up there.
Yeah.
And I'm halfway between here. My first trip's to Louisiana for the first race. And it's an 8-hour trip, and I'm halfway through, and that coolant blows away.
Yep.
Guess how pissed off I'm going to be. Yeah. So you know what? That multi-point inspection, you're coming from me personally, what I do with those and why I need those. We all need them. So make sure that service advisor show you that multi-point inspection sheet and go through it. If you don't come to us, you go somewhere else, I promise you're not getting the same multi-point inspection that we're going to give you here at Mill Highway Ford. But yeah, did the same thing on my truck. And I'm telling you, I'm so glad I took that truck to him.
Yep.
So,
well, and I mean, I think in that particular situation, it's no different than any other customer, but think of, okay, you're broke down, but just the amount of inconvenience and dollar signs that pile up.
Oh, look at the tow bill on that truck.
Yeah. On that operation, not to mention just heartache and headache, right?
Heartache and headache is exactly correct. So anyway, always remember to get that multi-point inspection and check your car over. We were doing them, and I was doing them in the 70s with my dad in his shop. We just didn't call it. We didn't call it a multi-inspection. We just called it a check over is all we call it. We were doing it back then, but then we were doing it every 200 miles, because we were doing we had to do that about every time we came in because of what these cars were like. Now we went to 3,000. Now we're 5,000 miles, and we didn't pop these hoods anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So very crucial. If you want to get broke down with have a tow bill and things like that, don't worry about it, I guess, but not me. So. Hey, we're out of time, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the great comments, Greg. I can't wait to find out about this particulate filter on that truck and see what happens too. So everybody have a great Saturday. It's a little chilly out there today. Stay warm.
Yeah, it is.
But the best part about it is the warm weather's coming. It's just
right
another day after this cold,
less
cold day we got coming. So everybody have a great Saturday. We'll talk to you next Saturday at 9 o'clock. Have a great day, everybody.